welcome to the Nasboys podcast. Now, did you know that at the conclusion of Saturday's Xfinity Series event at Talladega Superspeedway, every single car that started the event was running at the finish? It's the first time ever in 393 National Series Superspeedway events that every car has been running at the conclusion of the race. That is absolutely crazy. I did not know that happened. So anyways, guys, welcome to the Nasboys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, a.k.a. Mike Pop Fan 101, with my good friends and co-hosts, Christian, a.k.a. Savage NASCAR.
What to do, Nasboys crew?
And Cam, a.k.a. Noticed_Cam.
Yeah.
This is actually the first episode with us three in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a good while. And one thing I was going to mention too, 28 years ago today was the last time a NASCAR race occurred where every single car got lapped. So just another fact.
Interesting fact. That's it.
That was at North Wilkesboro, and Jeff O'Dine did that.
I did not know that. Very interesting. But anyways, let's get down to talking about this weekend's races over at Talladega. We are going to kick things off with the truck race. What did you think of it?
Well, to kick things off, we might as well kick things off with Jordan Anderson's wreck, which was obviously a pretty scary incident there. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
We talked about Jordan being in the field, and man, there is a lot of fire.
Found fire, but get out.
Oh, man, get that thing stopped.
And that's a big hit.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
That was, he didn't know where he was.
Yes.
He couldn't see
Couldn't
he
see.
was, and he knew he had to get out. So lucky that he was able to get above the wall and out that door. Holy cow, that was dramatic.
So basically, it just looked like the car overheated, caught on fire, went ablaze, and he's trying to get out of the thing, of course, as fast as possible. Very scary moment. He hit the inside wall and could have been way worse, but thankfully he's okay. He does have some second-degree burns though, and hoping that he has a speedy recovery. But what did y'all think about that whole ordeal?
I thought it was crazy. Just prayers for him and his family. I mean, scary times in NASCAR right now. We've seen a couple of nasty just injuries when it comes to cars in the past couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, Cam, I definitely got to agree with you. I thought it was a weird wreck, especially when he was getting out and the truck wasn't even stopped. Like, he was just rolling down to the inside wall, and he was already like halfway out the truck, and then he hit the wall. I don't know why he was doing that. I understand because, the flames, but it's just, I don't know what he was thinking doing that. But, prayers for Jordan. Definitely scary that these fires are getting up to the cockpits, and now it's in the trucks. I mean, the NASCAR next gen cars are already not as safe now, so now we got to worry about the trucks and the fires getting in the cockpits there.
Well, if you think about it, there hasn't been like a fire in the truck series in a long time, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the trucks, and I think that their parts handle well. They don't have very many mechanical issues as the Cup Series, of course. But I just think because of what's been going on with the Cup Series, people have the narrative that every car is now unsafe. But then again, these are race cars. They're not built to be safe. They're built to be raced. They're built to be going to its limits and going as fast as you can to get the win. But I will say that I felt like, of course, everyone was concerned about what happened, and I don't think they've done an investigation of what caused the fire yet, but I don't think it has anything to do with tires.
Yeah, I agree.
For once in Goodyear's life.
For once in Goodyear's life. Well, moving on to the rest of the truck race. I didn't watch the entire race, but of course, it seemed like it was better than the last couple of years for the truck series, except for last year's. I felt like last year's one was better. But another crazy finish at the end of the truck race, which...
Next flag ends it, Vince, as you mentioned.
It's Holmes, the Alabama native, trying to win for the very first time in his Camping World Truck Series career. The former ARCA champ, he is out front.
He might be too far out in front now, Vince.
Here comes Rhodes with a push from Eckes, his teammate, on the outside. And Rhodes cuts in front of Holmes.
Look at Corey Heim now pushing on the outside.
Eckes on the outside, Rhodes on the inside, teammates at Thorsport. Here they come into the tri-oval.
You gotta stay bottom lane.
Rhodes in the lead. Wreck to the outside. Rhodes still there, trying to hold off. And the yellow and the checkers fly, and is it Brett Holmes? Holmes on the outside line, and I think he did it.
Then now goes into Clown of the Week, which is the NASCAR officials. Why throw a caution when they're literally like 100 yards from the finish line? Like, why? That doesn't make any sense. And I am happy for Matt Benedetto to get his first career win. But at the same time, what in the world was that call?
Yeah, I agree. I think NASCAR officials this week have really made a fool of themselves, like they usually do. I try to give them credit, and I usually try to back off a little bit, but sometimes it's really hard to defend them.
Yeah, I mean, that was a awesome finish. We saw Di Benedetto. He looked like he got forced below the line. I was a little confused by that, but then I had to watch it like 2 or 3 times to make sure he was actually getting forced, because I thought he just went below, but I saw Eckes force him down. I thought Brett Holmes won for a little bit. There was one angle from the stretch near the line where it looked like his car came across first, but on TV it looked like Di Benedetto won. So definitely a very close finish, and overall very awesome. Congrats to Matt Di Benedetto. I know he's been waiting for a win for years, and that's pretty cool that he got his first ever NASCAR win.
It's about time. And I mean, one thing too, I wonder how close the margin of victory would have been if they hadn't thrown the caution. I mean, it probably would have been like at least 2,000 of a second, 1,000 second. It was that close. And Matt Benedetto, I remember when he first started driving in NASCAR, I remember he got an Xfinity start in 2010. And I didn't really know much about him. I just thought his name was kind of funny. But over the years, he started getting some more part-time rides, some more opportunities. And, you know, he was in Cup for a little while, had a couple chances to win, just had them taken away. And for him to get a win at Talladega at the track that he basically got robbed of a win a couple years ago is pretty cool. But what did the people have to say?
22% said great, 44% said good, 22% said meh / okay, and 12% said bad. Bruh 55's Ard says crazy finish and a Di Benedetto win.
Bruh.
Henry 24257 says lots of crashes and good finish. Dalton.malak_9 said good pack racing, controversial finish on a super speedway, 9 out of 10. I guess he's talking about the yellow, which I don't know why they threw a freaking yellow. I agree with that. I seriously don't know why you throw a yellow when there's like 200 feet till the race is over. But
It's
yeah,
such a joke, honestly. It's ridiculous. I mean, I remember when it happened to Casey Kane a couple years ago in the Xfinity Series. I want to say like 2016 that happened when they were like right at the line and it was so close. Like, why? Just like, what's the point? Like, it's not like
Right.
there's a car stopped in front of them. Like, they could go across the finish line. It just mind blows me.
driver of the day, Brett Holmes.
I would disagree. Yes, he did lead 2 laps, a whopping 2 laps. But Christian Eckes finished 5th, and he led the most laps of 25. We also saw Chandler Smith lead 17, but he finished 14th. Haley Deegan finished 6th, so finally she gets a good finish. But my driver today is Matt Benedetto. I mean, he did lead the final lap, and he made a great move there at the end. First career win. He started 30th too, and people don't realize that he started 30th and worked his way up. So Matt's my driver today.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's a long time coming for Matt Benedetto, and, I think he deserved this win, and I'm very happy for him, so congrats.
Yeah, I did not know Matt DiBenedetto started 30th and he worked his way up all the way to first. So I'm going to go with Matt DiBenedetto as well. So now let's talk about the Xfinity race.
That is the cleanest Xfinity Series race I've seen on Super Speedway in a long time. From what I saw, of course, throughout the race, there was a lot of passing. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, all of the cars were running at the end of the race. And a lot of people were concerned about this weekend, like, oh, there's probably gonna be a bad wreck. Oh, that didn't happen, other than of course Orin Anderson. But what I mean, a lot of people were concerned about something happening, and it didn't. And thankfully, it was a clean race. And I thought it was a really solid race, though. I picked Daniel Hemrick to win. He was up front most of the race. He was in the top 10 consistently. But AJ, he says he hates Talladega with a passion, wins at the track he hates. So that was very interesting. But Sam Mayer and him had a very close finish there at the end. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
White flag coming back to checkers.
This 3 wide in that fourth lane, that's really hurting the energy from anybody getting a big run right now. They're going to have to sort that out. Finally, now it's back to 2 wide.
Here comes Josh Berry in the 8s. Now, Sam Mayer, where does he go? A big run out of A.J. Allmendinger. He puts the bumper to the back of him.
AJ did not go for the move. Really surprised by that. He'll have another opportunity at it. They're going to have a huge run on Sam Mayer down the front straightaway.
Here comes Sieg on the outside of the 39.
Come on, buddy, pushing.
Through the triangle, Sam Mayer goes high to block, now low again. Here comes that big run. The 16 goes outside. A photo finish at the line. Allmendinger's going to get it.
Another thing to note, Parker Kilgerman, he finished in the top 10 in the Truck Series race, but ended up finishing 6th also in the Xfinity race. Brandon Jones is pretty solid. Noah Gragson did not get his 5th straight win. For the Gragson fans out there, I sincerely am sorry for your loss. But anyways, I thought that the race was pretty solid. What about y'all? I mean, there wasn't any wrecks or anything crazy, but there was a lot of good moving around. So what did y'all think about it?
From what I did see and hear, it was a pretty clean race and it went by very smoothly. But I did watch some of the highlights, and there wasn't as much battling as I'd like to see, but it was a clean race.
Mike, you're muted.
Yeah, it was somewhat of an interesting race. It seemed like I didn't watch too much of it. I watched the final lap. That looked like it was crazy. I'm really impressed with how clean it is because most of the time it's a wreck fest. So pretty interesting to note that again, every car finished.
Yeah. Now, what did the people have to say about the Xfinity Series race?
Let's see. 22 per oh wait, that's the cup race, my bad. 57% said great, 29% said good, 0% said mess, that's okay, and 14% said bad.
14 would say bad. That's interesting.
Bruh 55 art says my favorite Xfinity driver won. Dalton.malak_9 says no big wrecks, lots of competitive racing, classic photo finish at Dega, 8 out of 10. Yeah, and 2 photo finishes in one weekend, pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I feel like every single race had a photo finish. All of them were really close, including the Cup one. But yeah, the race was definitely, I wouldn't give it an 8 out of 10. I'll give it like a 7 out of 10, but definitely good to see some super speedway racing without it being a wreck fest.
Right. Let's see what else there was. So driver of the day, AJ Allmendinger.
That's a tough one. He did only lead 3 laps. I'm trying to think of what would be a good one here. I mean, Allgaier did really well. Austin Hill would probably be mine. He did lead 60 laps from the pole, but he ended up finishing 14th, so it's kind of hard to give it to him. He got shuffled back towards the end. And for AJ, 14th career win, of course, but You know what? I'm gonna give it to Hill, even though he finished 14th. I mean, he was dominant throughout that race, but just didn't get
Mm.
a good finish.
I think I'll have to agree with you. I'm going with Austin Hill, my race pick, but
Yeah.
he got shuffled back, unfortunately.
He won the first two stages too.
Okay. Cam?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Mike.
All right. So now let's talk about the cup race.
The cup race. It was good to see the stands almost all the way filled. And I thought that that was a really good race. And I'm glad that it wasn't a wreck fest like the last couple of years. And, you know, going into it, of course, there were some people I'd seen messaging and talking about, oh, this is going to be, there's going to be something bad that's going to happen. Oh, it's going to be bad. I thought it was a great race. Yes, there was some single file moments at times, but we saw a lot of passing. If I'm correct, there's 57 lead changes in this race, which is the most at Talladega since 2012 in the fall race in 2012. So a lot of passing. Of course, my guy Ross Chastain was up front a good bit, and he led. And we also saw Ryan Blaney lead. We saw guys like Denny Hamlin. He was leading up front. He was having to work with Chastain a couple of times. So there's some interesting moments there. It's like, oh, what will Hamlin do? But he didn't do anything, of course. But I thought that there was one wreck in this race, and that was correction. There was two, and one of them is Corey LaJoy single car accident, and then of course the incident with Harrison Burden, which also included Noah Gregson and a couple others, including Logano. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Jones, big wreck back there. That's Harrison Burden in the 21 and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47. There was a third line forming, and it looks as though guys were indecisive if they were going to jump into it or not.
Yeah.
But I thought that incident was just, Ricky Stenhouse being himself, just turns him. So no surprise here. But going down as the race got towards the end, it got really racy. It got really competitive, but nothing dirty, and I felt like the drivers were more careful. But at the same time, there was a lot of crazy moves there towards the end, and Eric Jones had a chance. I was hoping he would probably get it, or Chastain, but it didn't work out. Chase Elliott made an impressive pass on the outside. He got in front of Chastain towards there. He also had a lot of help from Eric Jones. He was able to get his way to the outside lane and slingshots to win there. And man, Chase Elliott at Super Speedway, I didn't expect him to win it at Talladega of all places, but he definitely locks himself. It's the first playoff driver to actually win in the playoffs this year. So what did y'all have to say? What do y'all have to say about the race? Because I thought that it was a great one.
I didn't really get to watch any of it, so what do you have to say about it, Mike?
Yeah, I watched some of the highlights. Didn't seem too bad. There was a lot of great racing. I watched the finish. Great finish, typical Talladega. I thought that Chastain tried that move. I thought he was gonna make it stick, but he didn't. And then Chase Elliott got the win. Pretty impressive. And I was surprised to hear that Chase Elliott won. I just didn't think I know he's won at Talladega before, but I just didn't think of him winning there. I don't know why. I just didn't think of it. But yeah, definitely seemed like an interesting race. Kind of sad that Joey lost. So yeah. Or not lost, but he got kind of wrecked. But yeah, overall, decent race.
Yep. And a couple of things also to note about the Cup race. Michael McDowell was up front for a good bit, and he started 29th, but he worked his way up. We saw Todd Gilliland. He was up in the top 3 a couple times. He ended up finishing 7th. And Daniel Suarez, of course, he was really strong as well. And one of the huge things towards the end came down to pits. And Christopher Bell spun out going to pit road in stage 2. And then at the end of the race, Brad Keselowski, who had been really strong the whole race, and he was in my fantasy lineup, he doesn't run out of gas. He sped on pit road along with Kevin Harvick. So that really messed up my fantasy lineup. I had every single driver in the top 10 until that happened. And then he ended up falling back. He ended up getting
Pack watch.
But yeah, Brad Keselowski, he was my pick to win too. So that was kind of a pain. But Man, I mean, I didn't expect that one to come down to final pit stops, and it almost went all the way green until they had a car stopped on the track. It wasn't on the track, it was in pit road, NASCAR. Why did you throw a caution when the car stopped literally on
Right.
pit road in a pit box? What are you doing,
Yeah,
official?
Allmendinger, right?
Like, I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. I mean, I can't believe what's going on with the
Yeah.
officiating. I mean, I understand that there's a car there, but what are the chances of a car hitting that car? Like,
Right.
what are the chances? I don't see that happening. So I didn't understand that. And of course, I feel like they did that so they'd have a dramatic finish, which ended up being a dramatic finish. I feel like if it went green, it would have been dramatic anyways. But yet again, another reason why the NASCAR officials are the clown of the week.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Another thing I want to point out is I wonder if the drivers were being more careful because they know that the next gen car is not the safest, which I want to talk about a little bit more once I get into these thoughts. But I wonder if they were being more careful. Plus, with the playoffs, they don't want to like wreck each other's equipment, and Talladega is known for being complete wreck fests.
Yeah.
So I just think they were being careful for those two reasons. But 22% said great. 22% said good. 44% said mess. That's okay, and 12% said bad. Lots of side-by-side racing, says Dalton. Way less drama than expected. Thankfully, no tire issues. 7 out of 10. Yes, that automatically makes the race better with no tire issues.
And went by fast too. The race did go by fast. I thought it was going to be maybe a 4-hour race, but no, it was just over 3 hours, not 3 minutes, 3 hours.
And then Henry 24257 says, no big ones. Guys were too clean. No, and no close finish. What do you mean no close finish? Did you not watch that finish with Austin with Ryan Blaney?
I illegally blind. But yeah, no offense anyone, but yeah, I mean, that was a good finish there. And man, what about driver today? Does anyone have any driver todays?
Yeah, Chase Elliott.
I mean, yeah, there's a good move there at the end, but he's not my driver today. I mean, he only led 10 laps compared to some of these other guys who led 20s. You know what? I'm a little biased here, but I'm giving it to Chastain. And here's my reasoning why. He led a lot of laps, yes, but he was very strong up front. I mean, he was pushing guys up to the front. He seemed to be the best pusher out of everybody. And he was able to get great runs on the outside lane and the inside lane and be able to hold his ground. And he was willing, I think. I could tell by looking when during the broadcast, you could see him turning and turning, and he was really trying his best. And, you know, I feel like Ross, of course, gives 100% every single time he's behind the wheel. And I think that he definitely was the best driver out there today, even though he didn't win. So, what about y'all?
I'm gonna give it to Ryan Blaney. I think he did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
Blaney. I'm gonna go with Chase Elliott because I think he won most of the stages. I think I can't remember. I know he won the first stage.
He led a total.
Pass.
He led a total of 31 laps.
Oh well, yeah, I'm gonna go with Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott only led 10. Blaney led 31.
Yeah, I thought I said Blaney. I thought you were talking about Blaney. I'm sorry.
Then no, I'll go with I don't know. It's between Blaney and Chase Elliott.
Chase only led 10.
Yeah. Plus that burnout was weak. No offense, Chase. So you're not my driver today. But any other comments about the Cup race before we get into meme of the week?
Have comments about the next gen safety?
Yeah, Alex Bowman was out with a concussion.
Yes,
that didn't look like a huge hit, but he said it was.
Yeah, the next gen car, I don't like the safety aspect of it. I don't know how we're going backwards in safety. I understand that injuries happen because yes, racing is a very dangerous sport. We already know this. But NASCAR did such a good job with safety over the past 20 years. After Dale Sr. passed away, they did everything right. And yes, there were still big accidents. Yes, there were still injuries, but NASCAR managed to fix them. But now all of a sudden they have this new car. They make it cheaper. They make it more rigid. And the drivers, if you get a back impact, that's it. They're going to get a concussion. Imagine how many drivers this season have a concussion right now or like some sort of like soreness, and they're not saying anything because they want to continue to drive. It's just sad that we see two of these drivers, they have these concussions. Kurt Busch is practically out for the season, possibly his whole career. I don't know. And who knows how long Bowman's going to be out for. It's just sad. The next gen
Yeah.
car has to fix the problems with the back end and the tire issues. Like I've said on the last episode, NASCAR has a lot of work to do over the offseason to fix all these problems because it is absolutely ridiculous and sad to see these drivers injured when we know that NASCAR can do better with safety.
Yeah, and I will say that NASCAR over the past 20 years, they have made great changes. There has been some instances where they didn't change things immediately. I mean, look at the safer barrier instance that happened in the 2010s. They didn't do anything about safer barriers in the inside walls until Kyle Busch got hurt. Even though it happened to Gordon 2 years earlier, like it took them a while for them to do that. So I'm not saying that NASCAR is like a time limit or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that NASCAR fans need to realize this isn't an immediate fix. That's what I feel like a lot of people want. Of course, we all want things to be fixed immediately, but that's not always going to be the case. We don't get everything we want. So I think it's a progress. There's going to be some progress, but the concussions has definitely been an issue, and not just in NASCAR, even in the NFL. We saw what happened to Tua this past week. That was horrible. So, it's just this past week was just crazy, man. From the hurricane to that, and Rick, it's just a lot going on. Unfortunately, of course, with the hurricane stuff too. So, Daytona got flooded. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I did see that.
my opinion on it is, NASCAR has definitely had its times of being very safe. And, we have to give them props to the part of where they have upped the safety a lot. I just feel as if this next gen car, though, they rushed the safety. We already knew that they said they had it planned for this time. And then we had drivers warning that, hey, this is not okay. So then they set back on it. And I still think it wasn't enough time. And I just think overall it was just a bad experience by NASCAR. And we're just waiting for Gen 8, hopefully, or something to be fixed soon because
Gen 8.
this is just crazy.
All right, let's do meme of the week.
Yay. So we got a couple nominees. Probably the one that I would vote for is NASCAR Memes IG. NASCAR trying to explain why they're not at fault for driver injuries. That's an interesting one. And one thing I was going to mention, like Denny Hamlin says that NASCAR's president, Steve Phelps is the right guy for the job. But I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of the people in the NASCAR running NASCAR now don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that statement by Denny, but at the same time, he has done a good job by speaking up. But what's some other meme nominees that y'all have?
Well, I will say I've been thinking this for a while, to be honest. I don't want Brian France back because he's a piece of crap, as we all know. But
Yeah.
I don't like Steve Phillips that much. I want honestly, I wouldn't mind it if Tony Stewart just said, "Screw it, I'll be the president of NASCAR." At least he'll bring it back to their roots. I mean, look at what a good job he's done with SRX.
Or Dale Jr. Make Dale Jr.
That's another good point. But yeah. I agree with that NASCAR Memes IG one. That was definitely a great one. I'm trying to think if there were some other ones, but that one's definitely my favorite so far, unless I see another one.
There was the Dale Earnhardt one, The Life of Being a NASCAR Fan. That was quite interesting, even though, of course, I don't support drinking, but I do think that was kind of funny.
What's 800? This NASCAR prince drove the number 8 car for Budweiser and ordered loads of the brew for friends at his North Carolina compound. Martha.
Who is Richard Petty?
Well, I take that one as made last week, which I forgot to mention, but I did love that meme. So for this week's standards, I'm gonna go with the NASCAR memes IG one.
Yeah, I'll go with the NASCAR memes IG one. I think it was funny. That was a good idea though by having Tony Stewart. I feel like that'd be cool. Dale Jr. I also would say Jeff Gordon. Just some other guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's with Hendrick, so I don't know if he'd want to run the entirety of NASCAR.
I know he could do it though.
He could. I just want to see somebody other than Steve Phillips or Brian France, please.
Oh, we always want more, but I'll take it. My stomach hurts.
All right, so let's get into the Roval real quick. Roval's coming up this upcoming week. Is it Xfinity and Cup only?
Yep, correct.
Xfinity Series AJ's going back to back.
I'm going with I guess I'll go with AJ too, yeah.
Jane Brown, I don't know.
Okay, all three for AJ.
All right, for the Cup race, I'm gonna go ahead and say Chase Elliott. He'll go back to back.
I think I picked Kyle Larson to win this one, but I may be wrong.
I think he did actually. I remember that.
I either had Larson or Elliott. It's one of them two.
You had Larson. I remember now.
I'm gonna go Blaney.
All right. Now, before we close off the episode, I want to say this, and it's something that I want to share with everybody. But if you are in a bad place or have any dark thoughts, reach out to someone you know. Rick Elshman, he was the World of Outlaws late most announcer. Someone that meant a lot to a lot of people. From what I heard and from the reports that came out this weekend, and he was a great person. He seemed to have he was a very positive person. If that makes any sense. And you never know what happens behind closed doors, but you never know what's going through someone's head. But if you ever have thoughts like that, reach out to someone. Share your feelings and don't hold it all in. Don't let hate comments. Don't let people's words bring you down. You have a life and you have a purpose. And, it was very sad to hear about Rick's passing. And I just want to mention this at the end of the video. And being someone that's worked a couple shows with him, it was very sad. But I just want to mention at the end of the video, we miss you, Rick. And man, we're devastated. As I mentioned, there's a lot of people you may see that, put on a smile face and all that, seem like they're good, but they're really not. And, it was just very unfortunate to hear about the tragedy that occurred. So, and also pray for not just his family and friends, but also for all people affected by the hurricane this past week. A lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people lost electricity, power. I mean, cars too. It was very painful to see, of course, the Wayne cars in Florida get destroyed. But yeah, I don't know if y'all want to add anything onto that, but I just thought I had to share that at the end of this episode. And of course, we'll miss you, Rick, and you'll never be forgotten. And it's crazy. In August, he was literally inducted to the Hall of Fame, and then for that to happen, I mean, just sad.
Yeah. I think so with that will conclude this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.